As I mentioned yesterday, we have slots as part of this program for each caucus in the legislature. Yesterday, we heard from the Senate Democrats and Senate Republicans. Now we're going to transition over to the House Republicans. We have State Representative Bill G. Schuette from Midland, who's going to join us. And I know we have State Representative Bryan Posthumus, who got trapped coming up the hill, but is walking in the room right now, and we're going to get him mic'd up. While we're waiting, I want to share a little bit of what's going to happen today, not just here on this stage, but throughout the conference. Highlight for many people is going to be a keynote address from Mayor Mike Duggan. We heard some conversation just now about Mayor Duggan and his candidacy for governor. So we anticipate we're going to hear a lot about his record and how the city of Detroit has recovered under his leadership. Last night, we had an amazing dinner down in the tent here at Grand Hotel, where we focused on sports and its ability to unite people across the partisan divide. So we had a wonderful moderated session with our friend Mike Tirico from NBC Sports, the voice of Sunday Night Football as well as Olympic coverage. And my personal favorite part of this conference was that the panel was led by Jared Goff. And in case you're wondering, yes, we did start the Jared Goff chant in the tent on multiple occasions. And he was gracious, he was thoughtful, he taught us how they call audibles, which I, even as a longtime Lions fan, didn't quite understand. I got a chance to talk to him and congratulate him on his upcoming fatherhood. His wife is expecting here very soon. And if you think the pressure of a Lions playoff game is a lot, wait until you see what fatherhood looks like, is the advice that I shared with him. Additionally, today we're going to have a lot of conversation about baseload energy and how we can provide that safely in Michigan. Will be coming up shortly. But now I'm done dancing because Representative Posthumus has been mic'd up. This is live from Mackinac, presented by DTE Energy. We're going to hear now from Representative Bill G. Schuette and Representative Bryan Posthumus, the Majority Floor Leader in the Michigan House of Representatives. So take it away.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jordyn. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm hot now, so it might be good.
Okay. Well, no. So I know that we wanted to have you here today to talk a little bit about House Republicans, just sort of the year that you guys have been having, where we're at in the legislature, and I guess we'll just start from there. What kind of year have House Republicans been having?
Bill, let's have you go.
Yeah, I think it's been an impactful year and a very good, positive year for the future of the state of Michigan. And I'll point to a couple of things. You know, first is resolving this issue on earned sick time and saving the tip credit. What Michigan small businesses, family-owned establishments, restaurants across our state were facing was really a freight train that was bearing down on them in the middle of the month of February. And House Republicans, this was something that we knew was coming, but it was left for House Republicans to resolve basically as soon as we took the gavel. And working together as a caucus, we were able to put out what I think was some model policy on how we make sure that we save and protect the hard-earned tips of restaurant workers and provide greater flexibility and usability in sick time for workers. As we know, it takes both a bill to pass the House, the Senate, and the governor to sign it. We're through a process of negotiation, we're able to get what I think was not a perfect solution, but a good track record, a good trial balloon for how to take action to protect Michigan small businesses and save our family-owned restaurants.
And Representative Posthumus.
You know, what I'd like to add to that is when House Republicans launched our campaign to take back control of the House of Representatives, we led with Mission for Michigan, which was our commitment to the people of the state of Michigan on the things that we would deliver. And I think we've done really well on that. Starting off, like Bill Schuette said, with saving tip wages and addressing sick time, addressing all of that. Then we moved right into our road funding plan without raising taxes, $3.1 billion toward roads, without bringing in additional revenue to the state. I think that was critical because the people of Michigan know that the government has enough money. And then on top of that, we delivered a shutdown prevention plan. Too often the budget especially in divided government, the budget comes down to a situation where our kids, our military veterans, and our public safety are used as pawns at the negotiating table. and we successfully pulled them off the negotiating table in a shutdown prevention plan. So I'm really proud of the things that we've done in the House of Representatives in the first, whatever it is, 120 days, and I'm looking forward to what we can accomplish over the next year and a half.
So I want to touch on that shutdown piece that you just spoke of. I know already some education leaders are quite fearful, honestly, that an education budget, larger one, will not pass before the end of next month. I've seen some emails go out saying that people are concerned about potential layoffs, potential financial shortages. Where are we standing with getting a budget, no less an education budget as well, passed before the end of next month or before the lawmakers leave for summer vacation?
Yeah, I think when you talk about budgets, it's all about priorities. And Michigan House Republicans were very clear about what are our priorities. It's public education, it's public infrastructure, and it's public safety. Those are the things that really are core government responsibilities. It's kind of when you're setting your budget at home, you pay your mortgage, you pay your utility bills, you buy your groceries, then you find out if there's money for Netflix or Hulu or any of that stuff. Unfortunately, the last 2 years when we were out of power, what we saw from a budgeting perspective was the opposite. It was, I'm going to buy Netflix and Hulu and Paramount Plus and then see if there's money left over for the mortgage. That's the wrong way to do budgeting. So what you're seeing right now with House Republicans is let's make sure that we provide per pupil funding that, and that's what you saw in the shutdown prevention plan, is the record per pupil funding even higher than what the governor recommended. And that's the type of budget you're going to see from House Republicans. Those are going to be our priorities.
So with those being our priorities, look, on the island so far, I've been getting questions pretty much every meeting I've had. Are we going to have a budget by July 1st? What I would say to that is, I honestly don't know. I hope so. That is genuinely my hope, that we will have a full budget done by July 1st. One of the challenges with government, this is just the way government operates. It operates on cliffs. I mean, you saw that with every time there's a debt ceiling negotiation in Congress. It's just the way government operates. It's really frustrating. But what it looks like to me is House Republicans have a position that they're holding strong to. Senate Democrats have a position that they're holding strong to, and the governor has a position that she's holding strong to. And until there's a cliff, my assumption is those positions are going to be held onto.
But so what kind of message does that send? The fact that our majority floor leader is saying, well, I hope that we pass the budget. I mean, you guys are in control of the House,
right?
So you have the ability to put the budgets forward. I guess just kind of what.
Yep, and that again, that's why our budget shutdown prevention plan was so critical to get out the door. I mean, look, the day that we took power, the way that we not the day that we took power, the day that we won the control of the House in November. We already had Democrats in the Senate talking about shutting the government down the day we won the election. And so that was why it was so absolutely critical we put forward this shutdown prevention plan. We already have funding passed out of the House of Representatives that funds education and increases the per pupil allotment for the first time in 3 years. I think 3 years. Certainly the first, yes. Either way, it's record funding for that. Yeah. So that's why that was critical.
And you know what I would say to that, Jordyn, is I think everyone on the island, everyone in the state of Michigan can sleep soundly and rest assured that House Republicans in our budget, we have their core interests at heart. And they're going to know that in House Republicans in these budget negotiations, we're going to stand up for protecting our kids and our education system. We're going to make sure that we actually fix our roads 7 years into the Whitmer administration. And, we're going to make sure that public safety and those women and men who do so much to keep us safe have the resources they need to do that. If you're somebody trying to get a pet project for your side hustle in the budget and pay off your, tax liens like we've seen in prior Democrat-passed budgets, I wouldn't sleep too soundly. But if you're somebody with those core interests in government, good government, we're going to be fighting for you in that budget process.
One of the things that's really interesting about the budget, a lot of people don't realize this. In Governor Snyder's last budget year, there was about $25 million in earmarks. Under our current governor, we average closer to $500 million in earmarks. That's a major problem, and that's one of the things that House Republicans is trying to address, prioritizing getting rid of the earmarks and pork barrel spending.
So I know, and that's something I did want to touch on. I know Speaker Hall has really emphasized transparency as a tenet of his throughout his time. Just curious, though, if you were either able to comment on, and I wouldn't be doing my due diligence as a journalist if I didn't ask this question, but why now the reticence to bring up FOIA?
So last term, I sponsored an expansion of the Freedom of Information Act and bringing that over to the executive branch. and to the legislature. Here's what I'd say what you've seen under Speaker Hall is you've seen record accountability, record transparency on our earmarks process with our, with how we make sure that ahead of when the budget is passed, if you want an earmark, if you want money in our state's budget, that has to be published months before the budget is gone instead of, sort of this approach of, oh, after the budget passes, we'll find out what's in it. You've seen record accountability. You've seen, and these are really tangible things that we can get done that we know are steps that will improve good governance. That's what we've seen, and we'll continue to have conversations going forward.
What's interesting about your question is you're on a panel talking to two members that have a track record of supporting FOIA expansion.
Exactly.
Right? And Representative Schuette and I both support that, both like that. But we also both understand that the oversight and the transparency measures that we have implemented in the House are priority number one, far more important, and provide the greatest benefit to the people of Michigan when we're talking about transparency.
The only real accountability that we have seen provided to the executive branch right now is come from, honestly, your colleagues in the media and then the House Oversight Committee, led by Chair Jada Boyer. I mean, the complete failure of the Secretary of State supposed transparency website should let everybody know that we need to have vigilant watchdogs like we have on the House, and I'm proud of our record on that.
So in the few minutes that we have left, I was just wondering if both of you could touch on what, outside of roads, outside of the budget, we could expect to see coming down the pipe from House Republicans.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly jump in here, Bryan. I'm the chair of the House Rules Committee, and Speaker Hall tasked me with, leading our regulatory review, our red tape review, because we heard, again, politics is the art of the possible, and we heard the governor talk about in her 7th State of the State that she wants to do permitting and regulatory reform and cut red tape. That's something that, again, we're here at the policy conference about building bridges. That's something that I think Republicans and the governor seem to agree with. So you'll see from House Republicans in the weeks ahead a comprehensive review of our licensing in our state, of our permitting in our state, and of this onerous red tape that we have, ways we can cut it, make it more effective, make government work for Michiganders, not the other way around.
I'm going to touch on that just a little bit more as well. The overall expansion and encroachment of government doesn't typically come from the bills and the legislation. It comes from the promulgation of rules through the executive departments. And that's what we're really trying to get in check right now. In my first term in the House of Representatives, I introduced a huge package trying to address that. That was dead on arrival when the governor was like, no, we're not touching that. I'm glad to see a 180 U-turn from the governor on this topic to show that there is an open door to have a conversation about the rule promulgation process and how we as a legislative body can rein that in. So there's nobody better to be heading that up than Representative Schuette. I've started implementing and introducing a phased-in plan for cryptocurrency. For me, that's critically important. I believe 20 years from now, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology will be the foundation of all financial institutions, whether it's insurance, banking, everything. And I think we have to get our regulatory systems ahead of the curve rather than playing catch-up.
Gotcha. And then you talk about passing all of this legislation. Obviously, we are bicameral, and our colleagues in the Senate, colleagues in the House don't really seem to be getting along so well right now. I was wondering, how would you guys characterize the relationship between the House and the Senate, and how confident are you that you will be able to get some of this to the governor's desk?
When we look at the rules issues and the regulatory issues especially, I think this is, again, something that the governor has signaled an openness to work on, and we're taking her at her word, and we'd like to collaborate. And the governor's own department issued their own red tape report. I will say, as the Rules Committee having reviewed it, there's a lot in there that we can agree with and we can come to terms with. Now, I would hope that when you have the governor who's a Democrat, the Republican House, the Senate would come in the middle and be able to work with us on it.
There's a TV show called The West Wing, and there's a famous scene in that show where there's a couple members of Congress sitting there, and then a member from the opposite party comes up and he says, "Oh, we can't talk to the enemy," and the guy says of the opposite party says, "Yeah, the enemy isn't the opposite party; it's the opposite chamber." I don't necessarily subscribe to that belief system, but it's just interesting how that dynamic can take shape. Right now we're trying. It seems to me like the House and the Senate are trying to feel each other out a little bit. Where are we willing to go? What are we willing to do? It's still early in the 2-year term. I genuinely believe that over time we'll be able to get things done. We've proven that we were able to get things done when the Senate and the House both realized and agreed that that we had to work together on the paid time, the sick time and tip wage issue. I think we'll be able to do that again.
Wonderful. Well, I think that wraps up the questions that I have
Thanks
for you
so much,
both,
Jordyn.
gentlemen. Thank you
Really
very much
appreciate it.
for stopping on by.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.